could stop there. You could serve it with a gorgeous side salad, very simple and beautiful, but we are gonna serve it alongside some potatoes that I'm going to half and toss with a garlic coriander butter. It is so nutty, rich, and flavorful. I have been dreaming about this dish ever since Gail Simmons, my girl, made it for Jamaica and I on The Good Dish, and I completely fell in love with this. It was phenomenal, and I loved it then, and so I am trying to recreate it from memory now with like a few changes because I work with what I have here and in here. So, it always ends up being a little bit inspired in the moment. So the first thing we're going to do, because we hope that everything will cook at roughly the same time so everything can be served warm and lovely together, is start with the potatoes, which do take about 40 minutes to cook. The general rule of thumb for fish is that you want to cook for each inch of fish in a fillet about 10 minutes at anywhere between 375 and 400. So our salmon's going to cook, like 15 minutes for a nice, juicy, thick fillet. So that will go in after the potatoes have started to soften, the first 20 minutes. These potatoes have been scrubbed just so there's no dirt on them. They don't need to be peeled or anything. The skin is very tender and delicate. You can cut them in half and just roast them like so. Because these are a little bit larger, I'm actually gonna go in quarters. And the reason that is helpful is because more surface area equals more places for the flesh of your potato to hit the hot surface of your roasting pan and therefore develop color, caramelization, and crispness. The three things that we deeply care about when it comes to potatoes. I think this is a lot of potatoes. Probably a pound of potatoes. Cut as many potatoes as you find useful. I will say that potatoes, once you roast them, do keep very nicely. They are even better when they are reheated because it releases even more of the moisture and they have that wonderful crispness that comes back to them. So if you don't finish them all tonight, reheat them, serve them under eggs tomorrow. Easy, easy. To our potatoes, we are going to add some crushed coriander. This is probably 2 tablespoons of coriander seed here that I am just going to pulverize in this mortar and pestle. You can do this in a spice grinder. You can do this just by mashing it with the bottom of a heavy pan. Oh, phenomenal. That is what it should look like when you are done pulverizing it. Sprinkle that over your potatoes. You do not need to toast this spice because it's going to toast in the oven. So raw, it's beautiful. Grab some melted butter. I'm going to go for probably 3 tablespoons of melted butter over top. I have a little extra in here because I'm going to need it later in my life for the breadcrumb pistachio mixture. Salt and pepper. Not a lot of pepper. Pepper for me burns in the oven, so I don't go heavy on it, but I do find these potatoes like a few scrunches, as my girl, pasta queen, likes to say. Plenty of salt. Potatoes love salt. They absolutely must have it. Olive oil. Why olive oil and butter, you might ask? Because butter has a tendency to burn, and this is going in at 400 degrees for 40 minutes, so I want a little bit of other oil in there to help make sure it's more diluted and then it's not as likely to burn. Break open your head of garlic and get yourself 3 nice cloves, because these are garlic coriander potatoes. Yes, they are. Give them a quick smash just to pop them out of their skins. I do want these minced, not tiny, because again, they're going to cook for a long time in the oven, and the smaller they are, the easier it is to burn them. So a nice chop on your garlic. After these come out of the oven, I'm going to scatter, I haven't decided, maybe some fresh mint. Yes. I have decided. Fresh mint. I am going to scatter it. These are beautiful and lovely and roughly chopped into our potatoes. And you can tell how flavorful it is going to be even before I toss. My hands are already dirty, so I will be using my hands to lovingly massage and make sure that every wedge is coated and lacquered in butter and oil and garlic and coriander and salt and pepper. This is the moment to add heat if you want it. Chili flake on here would be gorgeous. If you don't have coriander, I would go for oregano. Really just customize. Make it what you feel like your potatoes should be. Hands are washed. I have my sheet tray already preheating in a 400-degree oven so that the potatoes can start crisping up right away. So we should hear a noise. Do not leave this glory behind. Scrape it on top. Pretty much the only rule of thumb when it comes to nailing a delicious sheet pan of roasted veggies is making sure there's a little bit of fat to ensure that golden brown finish, but also don't overcrowd them. We don't want our potatoes touching as much as we can avoid it. We don't want them steaming. We want them getting crisp and golden brown and lovely. Into our oven. See you in 20 minutes. And now, salmon. Just while I have my cutting board out, I am going to quickly chop up some scallions. And these I have not decided. I think I'm gonna want them scattered over the potatoes halfway through the roast so that they get a nice little bit of caramelization and char on them and just further flavor those yummy spuds. So just a, not too tiny, but I went basically all the way up to the very woodiest of the dark green stems because they're going in the oven. They don't need to be delicate. Now we're going to start with the salmon. So the first thing we're going to do is actually get together our breadcrumb mix, which is going to be about a half a cup of panko breadcrumbs. These are gluten-free seasoned breadcrumbs, which work really nicely here, but honestly, plain panko breadcrumbs are my favorite because they are the lightest and the airiest and have the least flavor so that you can really doctor it up yourself and do whatever you want. I have a cup of pistachios here. Obviously, pistachios are very delicate, rich, fatty. If you don't have them, you can replace with walnuts, pecans, pecan-crusted salmon, delightful. I'm just gonna pulse the pistachios in the food processor just to give them a nice little rough chop. Perfect, okay. One thing you wanna be careful of, and I may have accidentally, in my excitement about the food processor, done this, which has gone just a touch too grainy. This is actually perfect. So like these kind of nubbly sizes, ideal. You don't want to take it too much to powdery softness because it won't stick as well. It could burn. And then you always run the risk of going to paste. We're not looking for pistachio butter. We want crumbly, lovely pistachios, roughly exactly the same size as our panko breadcrumbs, see? So to the breadcrumbs and the pistachios, the same melted butter, 2 to 3 tablespoons over your nut and breadcrumb blend. And this is just to, wet it down a little bit and help them stick together. Nice pinch of salt in here. Every layer of this dish should have its flavor coming through. So don't skimp just because it's the topping. Give that a quick mix together. Not too wet. We don't want it greasy or falling, into a liquid. Just a little bit of stickiness to it to adhere to the layer of butter and mustard that goes down on the fish itself. Quality control. Quite good. I'd forgotten, interesting. I'd forgotten that we were using seasoned breadcrumbs, which are already salted. So that's gonna wake you right up. Very salty. That's okay. I like salty. Another reason that when you use things that have not been seasoned for you, you have more control. So now we're gonna make a quick sort of tarragon lemon butter that will be the base that we will slick over the salmon to then adhere to our yummy breadcrumb mix that we made here. So I'm gonna take maybe a 1/4 cup, so 4 tablespoons of butter. I'm gonna do it in the food processor, but you can very easily do this by hand. If you're gonna do it by hand, I would just pretty finely chop the tarragon so that it will smooth right into your softened butter. Just hold the stem and peel your leaves right off. And tarragon has that great, very fresh, very springy and warm weather inspired, but vaguely licoricey, which again, not a flavor that I actually love in life, but in dishes with tarragon, I really find it very, it's the perfect kind of just fresh note that some dishes really need, especially very rich dishes like the one that we're making, which is gonna have lots of yummy fat coming in from the nuts and the butter and the richness of the fish. So the tarragon's gonna cut it beautifully. I'm gonna add some lemon zest in, zest of the whole lemon. You could probably even go for 2 lemons, honestly, kind of really punch it up here. And then our softened butter, 4 tablespoons, so roughly half a stick, right into our mix here. I'm thinking about adding some of those scallions because they're so nice. Not essential, but I'm using a food processor, so I can add bits and bobs. Let's pulverize that, see what happens. Now, because I'm not making a huge quantity of it, I'll just have to scrape down the sides so that I make sure everything is well incorporated. But this would be a delightful compound butter. If you are trying to win at a garlic bread competition, this would be the way to go. Give it another quick whir. It's basically all brought together already, but I just wanted it a little bit more evenly incorporated. And actually, I'd planned to add mustard to this, but I'm smelling it now with that rich tarragon and the lemon and the scallions that I added, and I just don't want to get in the way. If you love mustard, add a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. All right, there you go. That's what we're getting. We added a lot of potatoes, so normally speaking, if you had made fewer potatoes, you would have room for both the salmon and the potatoes on one sheet tray, which is lovely. I overcrowded this pan and I don't want to risk steaming our fish or our potatoes, so I'm going to make it on another pan. We have 4 beautiful salmon fillets, essential fatty acids, plenty of protein, filling and delicious and delightful, and a great carrier for butter and breadcrumbs and pistachios. So what I want to do at this point is grab some, not maybe like just shy of a tablespoon of our butter and scallion and tarragon mix, and just give it a spread over each salmon fillet. I mean, there's no art form here. You just want to kind of smush it so that it roughly evenly covers the whole piece of fish. And this obviously has tons of flavor, but it also kind of works as a self-basting option for your meat or your fish in our case, where as it cooks, the butter will melt and it will slowly cover and moisturize the fish as it is roasting, and that will give you the juiciest, most flavorful, and delicious result at the end. Once I have divvied up the butter onto each of the 4 fillets, I am gonna just kind of mush it all around the fillet so that every part is getting a nice little bit of our coating. And this little bit of greasing on the skin, just make sure it won't stick, and you get a lovely golden brown crisp bit there too. And then into our breadcrumb mix we go. I try to layer a little bit extra onto the flesh side so that is where we have the most stickiness for our lovely pistachio experience. And be generous when you're laying it onto your fillet, because trust me, the breadcrumb and pistachio topping is the part that everyone wants. Even when it kind of like flakes off and it falls to the side sometimes, it gets extra golden brown and crisp and delicious. These are ready to go into our 400-degree oven. They should take about 10 to 15 minutes. We're going to check them and make sure it's to your desired doneness. I like them on the medium rare side, but we will check and make sure that we are happy. Now that our fillets are lovely and coated with our mixture, did you see how pretty these are? Yeah. These are going to pop into a 400-degree oven along with our potatoes, which are smelling phenomenal. It's a common misconception that the more you cook fish, the less fishier it will be. It's actually exactly the opposite. The less you cook fish, the less fishy it will taste. So I err on the medium to medium rare side. I'm going to pop this at the top of my oven, actually, and while I have my oven open, I'm going to toss the potatoes. And this is actually the perfect time to add our scallions, too, because these are about halfway to, oh, look at the golden brown happening already. Look at that. Scattering our scallions over top. If they look like they could use just like a tiny touch of oil, this is the moment to help them out a little bit, maybe another 2 tablespoons. Give them a quick toss. Because remember, the parts that are touching the pan are the parts that are going to be browning the fastest. So you want to rotate those around a bit without abusing. Goodbye, friend. Without abusing your potatoes too much. Shake them just to distribute. Push them around a little bit. It's okay to push your potatoes around, just do not break them apart because we want lovely, perfect potatoes. Okay. All right. We're going to have dinner in 12 minutes. This is your time to make the salad. A lovely fresh green, crisp romaine here would be really lovely. Butter lettuce, just something simple. Lemon, olive oil, salt, pepper, call it a day. Little fresh squeeze of orange juice over top if you like it a little sweet. That's the move. But this, you're going to love it. I just checked. The fish is like 1 minute away from being done. The potatoes are golden brown and gorgeous. I'm going to chop up just a bit of fresh mint from my live plant here. And just a little fine chop on this fresh mint. Honestly, there is so much flavor already going on in this dish. We're really not going to need anything else. but I love a little hint of bright green right over top. Set that to the side. Prepare to open our oven and find glorious, crispy, golden brown potatoes, juicy, perfectly cooked salmon with a golden brown crust of pistachio and panko breadcrumbs on top. Oh, guys, look at that. Look at that. I'm gonna let that go 1 minute more under the heat. Look at this color. Look at this texture that we created here. Oh, look at that. I think we should plate this up family style just so you can see how beautiful it ends up being. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Get it messy and delicious. Oh, I'm so excited about this. Yes, yes, yes. Salmon next. Get her out. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Look at this. Golden brown crispy topping. You know what I am going to do? I am going to lemon those potatoes. Now we're going like full Greek style, minus the oregano, but plus coriander and scallions and garlic and a little hit of fresh lemon juice. Yes. Yes, I'm doing it. First of all, light, airy, pillowy, golden potatoes, crackles of coriander cascading across the surface. Look at this texture. Do you see that? And then look at that. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be really good. Get yourself a fish spatula. Let's pick a beautiful fillet. This one looks gorgeous. Try not to lose any of that perfect topping as you wiggle it down into the plate. Oh, do we see how golden brown and crisp it has become? Scatter, scatter. Let's get some potatoes. Lemon. Just a little squeeze. And you know, so now when look, here's one thing you want to see. It still really has plenty of give when I push here at the thickest part of the fillet. Here it's a little bit tougher. This is going to be more of a well done section of the fish right here where it's a little tougher. And here at that thickest part of the fillet, it still has really nice tender give. So we'll get a nice, perfect, medium rare in there. A little sprinkle of our fresh mint over top. Is it even done if there isn't a drizzle of olive oil? And I know we salted already. We really salted, but we always salt one last time with a tiny pinch of flaky chili salt in our case. Sheet pan meal. Sheet pan meal, she said. And you said no. Pistachio crusted salmon with lemon, coriander, and garlic potatoes. I think we should taste it. Okay, so first up, we tasted the beautiful potatoes already. Let's go ahead and dig into the salmon. How about the topping first? Obviously, the part everyone is most concerned about. I don't mind the skin on the bottom. It's nice and crispy down there. The salmon stays so juicy. How could it not? It is literally layered with butter and flavor and those rich pistachios and the beautiful fresh tarragon and scallions coming through loud and clear. Look, I mean, that is perhaps an unfair proportion of salmon to topping, but I'm not mad at it. That squeeze of lemon at the end, along with the fresh mint, brightens everything up again, cuts through the fat, cuts through the richness, makes your mouth come alive. It is such a playful, delicious mouthful. And also, look at our perfectly cooked salmon, guys. Pop a little potato, and we're in business. Enjoy.